The FTC sent a letter to Apple claiming that it needs to show more conservative media, and I want to talk about it. Clearly, today we live in a polarizing society where everything has to be political. You're either left or you're right. There's no in between. And if you try to be one of those guys in the middle, everybody laughs at you and tells you that you're indecisive and that you can't make up your mind and that, oh, you need to join this side. But it's crazy to think that we're living in a world where now we're claiming that news sources are too left or too right. I'm your host, Seb, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. But let's go ahead and dive in below. A group called the Media Research Center, a quote-unquote conservative watchdog group, is the one that brought this attention to the FTC in the first place, and they say that Apple hasn't shown any conservative articles in their top 20 news for the past month. And Apple clapped back by saying that they show only quality journalism and that they don't focus on biased and unfactual opinions when they're writing. I thought this was a great clapback by Apple. And I want to go ahead and discuss what the FTC is before we go any further. And the FTC stands for the Federal Trade Commission. And their whole purpose of being created was to fight trust and monopolies. That way we could protect the consumers from all these big corporations trying to take advantage of them. And so the FTC doesn't actually have anything enforceable here because Apple isn't breaking any antitrust laws. And them sending this letter to say that that's what it was and that they should start promoting right-wing media is a little bit weird, to say the least. Since this letter sent by the FTC isn't enforceable, then Apple doesn't actually have to change anything. But the question becomes, why are we sending letters to Apple about showing too much left-wing content and maybe too woke content instead of going to other places like Fox News or CNN News, where a lot of their stuff is super politicized towards one ideology in particular, and we're not sending them any letters? I don't know, kind of a weird thing, FTC. Another thing to add on to here is that it's an app, right? And all apps want to do is keep people engaged and focus on the app. And so they want to show them content that people are actually engaging with, people are actually enjoying, people are reading. And so it's not Apple's fault if there's not any good right-wing media content that's engaging and that people care to watch. It's like, I mean, I don't understand like what they're trying to get at here. Apple's just trying to run a business, and the media that they're showing is doing really well in left-wing numbers, and so they're going to go ahead and keep doing that. But even to that point, what does left-wing media even mean? What does right-wing media even mean? Because I'm sure that Apple News isn't just posting about how, like, oh, Zohran Mamdani, 20 things that he did growing up, or Zohran Mamdani, you know, like, these are the next 10 big things that he wants to do for New York City. Like, I'm sure that it's a lot of stuff about, like, school, research, maybe some laws that are happening. But it's hard to say that all 20 articles are necessarily left-wing, and maybe it's more just the fact that they're not conservative. And I think that is also another crazy statement to add on to this. I do want to go on a slight rant here and talk about why this is so weird, especially coming from the FTC. And obviously the big thing is that it's fueled by the administration. Like, I don't understand how it could not be. Somebody told them to send this letter to Apple to try and get them to cooperate. And I hope that Apple doesn't, because there's technically nothing enforceable here. But it's just weird that they're targeting this thing when there are better news topics that we could be using our resources on, like stuff with real world implications and real life victims, such as the Epstein files. I know that there's been a new section that has been released, and people keep trying to dodge questions. The people who are supposed to be in charge are protecting these pedophiles in the White House and not persecuting any people. On top of that, too, for the FTC, why are we going after Apple showing news articles when we could be using this to go after crypto scammers? There's a lot of that going on where people keep pumping and dumping money and then making profits off of the expense of people like me or you. And then to add that even further, we have a crazy housing market right now where it's impossible to go buy homes. So instead of maybe focusing on news and who's pumping out left-wing content, maybe we could focus on trying to keep housing prices low so that way people can go buy a house, live, and start a family. Obviously, I just named 3 big points of concern in terms of negative stuff, but we also have a lot of positives going on too right now with the Olympics going on. I know people are putting on a show over in Italy, so why aren't we highlighting more of these athletes? Instead, we're just devoting all of our resources into trying to make people so in line with the right-wing media, and I just don't understand it. And it really sucks because a lot of people just don't have the capabilities to think. I don't know if it's that they don't want to or they just can't, but I wish people could see the deeper picture in all of this, because time and time again, this administration is showing us that they don't really care if you stay involved or stay relevant up to news with what's going on in the world. They just want you to be mindless and listen to them. Like, how can anybody look at this and say, oh yeah, Apple does need to show more right-wing content, like that's so evil of them to show left-wing stuff, when we have all these other sources that don't show any of the opposite? Like Fox and CNN, I mentioned them earlier, they're complete right-wing media stuff, but nobody's going over to them and saying like, hey, you need to show more left-wing stuff, especially not right-wing folk. I'll tell you that they will not say that, but I know they'll agree with this Apple stuff. And I hate that I have to say that, and I hate that I even feel some passion behind it, because the real problem isn't each other, it's the people up top. And it sucks. It really sucks that we're in a world where people can't see that, and they get so emotional and attached to some of their opinions and take it to like their heart whenever you say something that goes against them, or you start to prove them wrong, and then they get emotional and try to outman you and show that they're right. But that's not the case, guys. Like, we should be wanting a better world for all of us, and going after Apple News is not the way to have a better world. This news about the FTC just makes me really upset, and I hate that all they want is unwavering allegiance from certain groups of people. Well, honestly, from all groups of people, but just trying to take advantage of the ones that they can right now. And I hope that all of us can stay a little bit more strong-minded and try to be more reasonable and compassionate with everybody else. That way we can really fight the problem here, which is the people up top. We need to start holding people accountable and focus on things that really matter, and not just on news articles. I'm sorry that this video might have come out a little bit rant heavy, but I did want to talk about it because I think it's important for people to know. I'm going to go ahead and link the article down below in the description so you guys can read it for yourselves. Go ahead and feel free to check it out. But I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. Hope you all have a great Valentine's Day. And of course, have a great rest of your day.